This week's episode is brought to you in part by MPix, delivering the highest quality prints and products from your photos. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow.
On this week's show, I've got a cool Lightroom trick for you for printing templates.
And I'm going to show you how to create a realistic looking skin texture.
And I've got a cool trick for creating depth of field with 3D.
And I have a great way to use Mask Edge, and it all starts right now.
Welcome to Photoshop User TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And now, here are your hosts, the Photoshop guys.
Well, hi everybody, welcome back to another garrulous episode of Photoshop User TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals, the people that bring you Photoshop User Magazine.
That was close, Dave.
Hey everybody, I am joined here today in the Photoshop User Studio by Dave Cross.
Hello.
Corey Barker.
Hi.
How you doing, Corey?
I'm fine, how are you?
Yeah. Everything okay?
Yeah, well, you know.
He's excited.
It's car problems or? Yeah.
No, well, we'll see.
Corey had to drop his car off at the service place today, just in case you were wondering. Pete Collins, our newest Photoshop guy. Woohoo! Soon to be our last.
Wow.
The shortest stint in history.
Just teasing. We like Pete. We like Pete a little bit. Anyway, what do we got? We have anything in the news coming up? I have news.
Aren't you going on the road?
I'm going on the road. So
thing?
I am taking the Lightroom 3 live tour on the road. You'll probably be watching this toward the end of September, beginning of October. So end of October, I'll be heading to Phoenix and Indianapolis. And then in November, I'll be in Tampa, my hometown, which is nice because Dave, you know, we don't have to travel anywhere. We're in a lot better mood when we come to Tampa. Actually, no, we're always in bad moods. So I'll be in Tampa, and then Arlington, and finally Philadelphia. And I think Philadelphia is like December 1st or 2nd or something like that. So you can find out more over at kelbytraininglive.com. And you can find out where Dave's teaching. Scott's got the Light It, Shoot It, Retouch It tour. You're doing the Photoshop
Photographer's Power User Tour, CS5. It's got the name's about this long, but it's a tour on
Just
Photoshop.
call it the cool tour.
Where's your next? Do you know where your next
I'm
date
going
is?
to Chicago in November, and then, well, actually about like 4 in November. Chicago, New York, Toronto, San Diego.
Try and get up on the Delta miles there.
Yeah.
Make the next level status.
Hopefully.
Anyway, you can find out more over at Kelby Training Live to find out the dates and the outline and all that fun stuff. We are ready for a tutorial. Corey Barker, are you ready to give us one?
Yes.
Let us put on our 3D glasses.
Everyone, put on your 3D glasses now. All right.
Hey, I got a 3D thing after Corey's thing.
Oh, really?
It'll be a lot better than Corey's thing, too.
Until we get to that. And this is for the 17 people that are watching that actually enjoy 3D.
No, Corey, don't say that.
No, at least 18.
No, there's actually
last I heard, we hit the 20s.
I've actually gotten really having fun with 3D postcards in Photoshop. And actually CS4 has 3D postcards as well. So if you have CS4 or CS5, you can do this.
And we tease you, but they are actually very cool because it's something that people do a lot that the 3D postcard makes like almost instantaneous.
Well, yeah, and exactly. It's easier than playing around with Repoussé because people think, well, what's Repoussé? I'm like, don't go there. So what I'm going to show you here is actually a really cool, it's kind of a hidden feature. It's a depth of field trick. And I actually discovered it by accident. And I actually sent an email to some friends at Adobe and I said, is this really supposed to be like this? And they said, yes. I'm like, well, you never said. And so what I've got here is and here's a common scenario where you might actually use something like this, and we've actually used it, is I've got a screen grab from my site here, Planet Photoshop. And I'm just going to go ahead and take that screen grab and drag and drop it into a new document here, which is smaller, so you can see it's much, much bigger. And I'm going to go ahead and put this into a 3D postcard. It's going to go under 3D to new 3D postcard from layer. Puts it into 3D space. Now I can actually go over here and grab the 3D object slide tool and slide it back toward me, back and forth, and rotate it around in 3D space like that. Now that's pretty cool. But what I'm going to do is actually going to rotate it at an angle that I might think I'll look at it in a final design. Just going to put it like right there. We've got kind of an extreme angle there. Now if you go into the toolbar and select underneath the 3D tools, you've got the 3D camera tools. And just down here at the very bottom, there's the 3D zoom camera tool. And this is why it's such a hidden feature. You have to go through this many hoops to find it. So Up in the options bar with this tool selected, you'll notice all the way over here on the right side there is a feature called DOF Blur, and that's for depth of field. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter a small number. I'm actually going to enter like 3. 3 is probably a bit much, but it'll give you an idea of what's going on. So you can see it blurred out the image here. Now, there's a little bit of focusing up here in this top corner, but that's not where I want the focus to be. So what I'm going to do is go over here, and if you hold down the Option key on Mac, Alt on Windows, and just Option click in an area, it'll actually force that to make that the focal point of your image, blurring the rest of the graphic. And if I go over here under 3D, or I'm sorry, the window menu, and open up the 3D panel, and do a quick ray trace draft, you can see it renders it, and now I'm getting realistic depth of field with a 2D object that I've put into 3D space. So you can actually manage that by increasing or decreasing the blur and even setting the distance, almost as if you were using a camera and how you were going to set up your depth of field. But the beauty, of course, is you can just rotate this object around, and again, just Option click wherever you want that focal point to be to get a really interesting, realistic depth of field. Isn't that pretty cool?
Awesome.
Yeah.
3D.
Nice.
Hey, so I kind of mentioned right before Corey's tutorial. So I don't know if anybody's, have you heard about the world's most beautiful 3D magazine? It's pretty cool. So I guess by that look that you gave me,
especially because the image that's right up there, I'm like, okay, what are you looking at there?
So this was done in part with Nick Saglian-Benny, who did the mastering retouching DVDs, but he's with Slick 4 Studio. It's pretty cool. So I got a copy of it, and it's two things. It's an app for your iPad or iPhone or Android, whatever. So it's an app on all the different devices, but there's also a printed magazine aspect of it. So he sent me a copy of the magazine, and it has the 3D glasses and everything. It's the world's first 3D magazine, and I gotta tell you, so I got it, and I started looking through it, and I'm like, and I put the 3D glasses on, and I'm like, nothing's really popping out at me. And then I got about halfway through, and I was going like this with it, so I was going through pretty quick to see what popped out at me. And I got about halfway through, and everything turned upside down. And I realized, flip it over. Now you get to the 3D part. So, but it's cool. I mean, I've never seen 3D photography like that. I mean, it's got the Kardashians. There's a McLaren SLR that's in there. There's a lot of
really.
What's it? Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff in there, and when you're looking at it in 3D, you're like, that's pretty cool. So anyway, you can go to I think it's up on my computer screen here if they can pull that up really quick, but worldsmostbeautiful.com. And if you go to the homepage, you'll see it's on all the Android, the App Store, iPads, iPhones, whatever, and you could see it on your iPad too. You just put the 3D glasses on, and
cool. Kind
of a neat concept. I mean, it's interesting to see. You wonder where photography can go next, and I think
feature films are going there, so why not photography?
And I don't like it as much in films, though.
I'm very picky myself about it when it comes to
I don't like it as much in the movies. I don't know. I like good high def movies, but with the photography, it actually looked pretty cool. So anyway,
who knows?
Interesting.
Corey mentioned 3D. Kind of seemed like a good segue to that.
There you go. I like.
We have another good segue to Pete. Pete's got a quick tutorial. And by quick, I mean 6 seconds.
6 seconds. Well, you got to create
5,
skin. Bam.
4, 3.
All right, Matt.
2.
Well, a lot of times when you're doing a project, you may need to do some touching up, or you may need to just, for whatever reason, create a good skin texture that you want to be able to use. Say somebody's got some problem areas. Skin is always hard. Well, I was playing around in the filters gallery, and I came up with a way to create a decent skin texture that then could be adjusted dark or light depending on what type of skin you need. And it's simply by going in here. My parameters that I have right now are set at 2,500 pixels by 2,500 pixels at 300 ppi, because anything bigger than that, you're just getting crazy. And if you needed a larger section, you could always tile it. But what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to start out by adding a lot of film grain, and I put it all the way over at 20, 20, and 10. You can follow along at home, and you could create the same thing. And then I simply add a plastic wrap to it at 20, 9, and 4. Highlight strength 20, detail 9, and 4. Now the key to this is to do 8 of those. So I simply hit the new effect layer down at the bottom 7 more times, and it's going to pop up a total of 8. I lost count while I'm talking. That sounds like 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It gives you 8 instances of that. And each time the plastic wrap interacts with itself, it kind of moves things around a little bit. Now, it's starting to look kind of like skin a little bit, but the key is the finishing touch is to add an accented edges to it. And when you do the accented edges to it, you can simply change the way that the skin appears by moving the smoothness of it. You actually want to bring the edge brightness down a little bit. And it starts to look like, when I bring the edge brightness down, this looks like a little darker skin, but you get these little pebbly textured effects in there that look pretty cool. I can make it a lighter skin by just moving the edge brightness up some, and then if I want it to be less textured, I simply crank up the smoothness a little. This final one is at 2, 24, and 8. And so anyway, using the filter gallery, I can smash these all together, and then I can have that final top layer be where I make minute adjustments if I need to change the way it looks a little bit. And it's just a fun way to create a skin effect that you can adjust and you can play with. And that's all in the filters gallery.
Can I commend you for using the plastic wrap? Other than myself, I don't know anybody else that's ever used it.
Well, you know where I figured that out? Somebody I was talking to, a lot of medical designers, medical illustrators use plastic wrap. You can get some great, I've created this great stuff called frog pus and other things. It creates this neat little texture.
Next week on PhotoshopUser TV.
And there's a tremendous demand for that. Yeah.
Oh, listen, I use frog pus all the time.
Alrighty then.
And now on to the rest of the show.
Frog Plus is a perfect segment to our next break. We'll be right back after this break in just a minute.
Brief messages from Frog Plus.
From Frog Plus.
Why is lighting so hard to learn? I think it's because we're photographers. We learn by looking at other photographers' images. But yet every book I've seen on lighting uses diagrams. Usually just a line drawing of where the subject stands and where the light goes. But what if it was more than just one photo? How about one showing the front view and the left side and the right side and the view from behind your subject? And instead of just a line drawing from above, what about an actual photo taken directly overhead the entire setup? I've never seen this done before. But once you see these views, it changes everything. But today, to get the look, it's more than just lighting. It's what you do after the shoot in Photoshop. It's the retouching. It's the special effects. It's all the post-processing that makes these photos look like they do. Every book shows you the final image, but nobody wants you to show you everything that happens from the moment the image leaves your camera to the moment you present the final image to the client. Well, I wanted to create a book like that, one that would take you all the way through the shoot, including the lighting, the equipment, all the settings, and the camera settings for a bunch of today's most popular looks, and then show you exactly how to finish those images in Photoshop without leaving anything out. I've never seen a book on lighting anything like it. It's visual, just like we are. You finally get to see everything, and once you see everything, it all just makes sense. I hope you'll check out Light It, Shoot It, Retouch It, my brand new book that I hope is really going to change the way people learn lighting.
Hey guys, while we were in the break, a couple people asked, how would you use this? If you take that skin and say you need to place it on somebody, you would just simply take a section of it, whatever you needed, bring it in and use your blending modes to lay it in there, and you can lighten and darken it and fill it in, and then maybe use a healing brush or something to smooth it out. But it'll be a great way to place that into a troubled area on somebody's skin.
What's a good blend mode? Overlay, soft light?
Overlay, yeah.
You know, to add to that, here's an idea. You could take that texture and round out the edges and define it as a brush.
Yes, you could. Very nice.
I detect a joint tutorial coming from Corey and Pete sometime in the near future to the NAP site. Mm-hmm. Could be wrong.
Who knows?
When I say, never mind.
You're wrong.
I said joint tutorial.
I'll never work with him again.
I said joint tutorial, and I you know,
led you to other places.
Yeah.
No, it's a great technique because there's multiple
Hey, Matt,
uses,
you have a tip?
Yes, I do.
Quickly.
Good save, Dave.
Help! All right, so my very quick tip is I'm inside of the print module inside of Lightroom. And I clicked on, and this is only going to work for Lightroom 3, I clicked on Custom Package up here in the top right corner. So what Custom Package does is it lets you drag out a photo and put it anywhere that you want. Oh, gosh. And put it anywhere that you want on the screen here. And it's just, you can lay it out any way you want. You're not restricted to certain sizes. So I really like, I kind of just started dragging photos out and kind of positioning them, and just made sure I kept with some lines and kept to a kind of a decent grid with this. But that's how I created the whole thing. The tip is you could take this a step further with this inner stroke setting over here. Watch what happens when I click it. It's a totally different layout. It just puts a white border between everything. So you have everything that kind of runs together. Still looks kind of neat, but then when you just turn on inner stroke, now you've got the same line, the same white border. Do you know how long it would take to do this in Photoshop?
Right. Now, if you make that stroke bigger, does it like resize?
It doesn't mess the photos up. It just makes it makes the stroke bigger, and that's why I mean that's why this print module is so powerful. Because if you think about what you'd have to do in Photoshop. You'd have to create the document. You'd have to drag in 16 photos, open up 16 different photos, drag them in, and then turn on your grids and lay it. I mean, it'd be a big pain in the neck. So something that you can do here in just a couple minutes. But yeah, as you're creating those, you can put them all together. Just turn on the inner stroke and you get a whole different look.
Very nice.
Dave, I see a camera raw window open.
You do.
I see a wall.
You'd have a wall. This was in Alaska.
I see a sky with blinkies.
The sky's got the blinkies because it's one of those days where the sky was bright and the wall was dark. So that presents a bit of a problem. So I figured, well, I only have one shot, so I can at least try to do something.
And the next day, the wall was much brighter.
Yes, it was. Well, I was only there for 10 minutes, so I don't know. But what I'm going to do is take advantage of, I have this option here turned on to open in Photoshop as a smart object. No great surprise there. So that I can do things like, let's over-exaggerate to say I know I'm going to go into Photoshop and use the quick selection tool, so why not make the quick selection tool's job easier by making the edges more defined. Ultimately, I don't want the sky that dark, but that's going to help me in the meantime. So once I've done that, now I can take the old quick selection tool and do a, guess what, quick selection, and not worry about getting incredibly accurate. I'm just trying to get fairly close, but the problem down here is I'm pointing at my screen, so you can see right here, see where I'm pointing?
I see.
The trees are very detailed, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to just add a layer mask and then go to right-click on here and choose New Smart Object via copy. And on this bottom one, I don't want the layer mask. So now I can go and double-click on this bottom one and kind of ignore the sky and look at just the wall and try and get it looking the way that I want. I'm going to kind of overdo a little bit so you can really see the difference, so that now I'm getting horrible highlight warnings.
Vibrance.
Okay.
Vibrance.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And I click OK, and because the top layer has the layer mask, the bottom layer will show. So I've got this nice combination. But it's not quite so nice if you look a little more closely. The problem is, because of my original mask, you can definitely see where the edge was a problem. So the solution would be to zoom in to like 1600% and paint for the next 2 hours. No, that wouldn't be the solution.
No.
That used to be the solution, but check this out. This is actually pretty darn cool. We always talk about refine edge for hair, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people miss the fact, I think, that if you go into the masks panel, you have this button called Mask Edge. And when you open that up, it has the same options, and I can just take this refine radius tool and just go right along the edge like so, and all of a sudden it just says, let me fix up that edge for you. So anything where you were unhappy that the edge looked a little bit artificial, like along the edge of this wall here, I would just go right along here, and it just makes the edge that much better. And I just click OK. It updates the mask. I still look at it and go, well, initially, when I did this, I deliberately made the sky a little darker than I wanted so I could see what I was doing. So now I would double-click on it and go back and say, okay, I didn't really want quite that a dramatically dark sky. So I'm kind of pulling things back a little bit and pushing the vibrance up and the saturation maybe a little bit. Because I don't have to worry about this part down here because the sky is the only part I'm affecting. So now I click OK, and it updates everything but takes advantage of the layer mask. And I've got this nice combination. And if you go back here and look at this part, when I did this the first time, I thought, actually, that looks pretty good this time. But one time I did, I was kind of thought, the trees are still a little bit, could stand to be a little bit darker. So when I looked at the mask, I thought, well, I've got little bits of gray in here. I could go in if I wanted to and do some extra painting, like maybe take my paintbrush and paint it like 40% or something like that, just to add a little bit more, so I'm getting a nicer kind of a blend going on between them. If I could actually get my brush tool,
there you go.
And that just darkens those trees up just a little bit better.
Awesome.
But that mask, I got to tell you, the number of times where I've done this technique of kind of combining two camera objects, and you can, and people always ask, what about that little line? And I always kind of went, that mask edge thing really does a nice job.
It's a good tip because refine edge, I think of it this way, refine edge is for when you're creating a selection. Before you have a layer mask, before you have anything, refine edge is what you use to get that layer mask, to get the selection. Once you already have a layer mask, then mask edge is what you use to go in and tweak it. They're both basically the same dialog. I mean, they all have the same settings. It's just one is before, one is after. Dave, and you will be happy to know, and this is by no means a gratuitous mention of my Photoshop Compositing Secrets book that's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and KelbyTraining.com.
Anyway.
But you will be very happy to know that I'll use gratuitous again, that gratuitously I use smart objects throughout the book.
Very nice.
Because for compositing, doing what you just did, I think for compositing, it works great because you open up a picture of a person, you place them into a scene as a smart object, and you just keep going back and forth to tweak the color balance and the lighting and everything like that, and smart objects let you do that.
That was a garrulous pitch.
That was a garrulous pitch. Corey, what does garrulous mean?
To talk profusely.
To talk profusely.
To ramble. What's profusely mean?
Alrighty.
To ramble.
Hey, we're going to take a very quick break. When we get back, it says Matt, contest, and prize. So that means...
I mean, you're the prize?
You're not that big of a prize.
No, not at all. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Mama always said, you gotta preserve the present for those in the future. I think that's what my Romance and Landscape series was all about. I shot for 6 days, 12 hours, and 34 minutes straight. I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now.
And we're back, and it's contest time, which means we have fantastical prizes that are easy as pie to win, because that's the way contests should be.
Fantastic.
What do we have for a prize?
We have Scott Kelby's brand new Light It, Shoot It, Retouch It book.
Nice.
It's already kind of breaking the molds of photography books because Scott changed lighting diagrams. You know, we've seen the flat lighting diagrams, which is a picture of a person on a grid and everything like that. So if you look through the book here, which is, I just happened to open up to a good page, the lighting diagrams are actually pictures from all angles.
Right, including some that are like overhead.
Yeah, some overhead and
but
everything
actual
like that.
photos, not just a
so
diagram.
It's not just a flat 2D diagram. It's an actual photo of where everything is, and you can kind of see the distance and the angle and all that different stuff. But not only that, he shows you the lighting, shows you all the settings, and then he takes the final shot straight through all the retouching too.
Now, does this book come with anything in it?
This book does come with something in it. It comes with an Adorama gift card.
It's apparently you wedged it in there really nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. So it comes with an Adorama gift card as well. So you can win it. Just go to Photoshop or go to kelbytv.com/PhotoshopUserTV, and that's where you can watch this show. You can always watch it on iTunes as well. But just go to this show's page and just leave a comment. Just say hi, say whatever you want, leave a comment, and that will enter you into the drawing to win the book.
Yes.
Leave a garrulous message.
Don't leave a garrulous message. Not garrulous at all. All right, Laddie.
Yes?
The show's over.
Is it? Good. Oh.
No. Do you have any final parting words for us?
Play with 3D.
inspiring.
It's a surprise. Pete, do you have any profound final parting words for us?
Repoussé.
I'm with that one. Eat more chicken.
Dave? You don't have a whole lot to top.
Yeah, well, I got to say, I'm starting a new campaign. Everyone talks about workflow. One thing I don't like about that term is the word work, so I'm going to start calling it smart flow.
Oh, I was going to say you call it flow.
No, work.
Fun
smart flow.
Smart flow.
Smart flow?
Easy flow. Fun
Lazy
flow.
flow.
Easy flow?
Lazy flow. Like lazy flow.
That sounds like the gas pump.
I'm going to call mine
car.
work slow.
For those people charged by the hour, work slow.
Work slow. Dave, you've got your Dave Cross Workshop. So
I do.
Those of you that don't know, Dave is owner of DaveCrossWorkshops.com. Makes a good combination there.
Yeah, it does.
And anybody coming?
Oh, we got all sorts
Anytime.
of folks. David Zeiser's coming up, and got a business of boudoir, and then Rick Salmon's coming, and lots that are on the kind of just in the schedule. Haven't got an actual date yet, so I can't announce specifics, but some fun, cool, interesting, exciting people.
Awesome. So check it out, DaveCrossWorkshops.com, and your location is actually right down the road from us here. But it's a good time of year to come to Florida.
Yeah, it is.
It's we're actually we were just looking at the weather because for when we're recording this, this coming Saturday is the photo walk, and so we went online. We're looking at the weather. It's going to be 86 degrees for photo walk day, which might sound hot to some of you. For us, this will be the first time in 5 months that the daytime temperature has gone below 90. So
Yeah.
we're actually very excited
like
about it.
fall
But it is. It's
temperature.
a gorgeous time of year, and the travel prices for where people can stay for that are very reasonable too. So
Come on down.
check it out, folks. Thanks again for watching over at Photoshop User TV. On behalf of myself and everybody here and all of our sponsors, thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.